Well, good afternoon or good morning, wherever you're at, everyone. Happy Friday. My name is Brian Bowman, and you are joining us at Megaport Live Tech Drop-In. Thanks for stopping by. If you're watching this live or checking in later on the recording, good to have you. And today we're going to take a topic, Megaport Internet. So kind of a simple topic, but some interesting things with internet. Actually, Megaport's been providing internet service for quite a while, but we've really ramped up some of the capabilities. So we're going to talk about that today, the kind of the architecture and what this looks like and how you can use Megaport Internet. Maybe a couple unique use cases that we've come across. So, all right, so let's jump right in. So what I want to do, first of all, is go into the portal and just kind of show you how to create Megaport Internet. So I'm going to jump out of the slideshow for a minute. And if you're a Megaport customer, you're used to the Megaport portal. Here I am in the dashboard, and I'm going to hop over here to services. And I'm going to go ahead and set up just a simple port at one of our enabled data centers, and also create a Megaport Internet circuit just to show you that workflow. And then after that, we'll go into some of the features, capabilities, architecture, stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a port. Let's just pick maybe a data center in New York here. We'll go ahead and pick this Cyrus 1 Totowa. And I'm going to put a 10 gig port there. And you could see, one of these, while I'm in here, it's not really a topic today, but many of the data centers where Megaport offers services, we also can provide a local cross connect for you. So we have an agreement with Cyrus One in this case that you could actually include a cross connect with the service when you order through Megaport. So that's kind of a cool new feature we added. I'm going to go ahead and create a diverse pair just to show you some of the diversity options with internet. So we'll set up just a second port in the same data center, and it'll turn up in a different diversity zone. So you'll see that when it gets set up here. All right, so I got my 2 ports, red zone, blue zone, my summary page here. And we'll go ahead and add these ports. And you can see them kind of populate in the shopping cart off to the left here. And right away, you get these little shortcut icons, which is real nice. You could also use the plus connection button to get into this, specifics that you're trying to get into. But you'll notice Megaport Internet is right here on the shortcut. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And one thing I like to tell customers is try to keep your diversity zones lined up. So when you're connected to Megaport Internet, in this case, I'm going from this data center in Totowa, and I'm going to connect it to one of the Megaport Internet POPs, right? And so you're going to see the options down below. I like to go ahead and filter these on the specific diversity zone I'm working. So I'm going to use the red filter, and then it's going to give me some options on where I can connect that private connection back to one of the internet POPs. So one of the interesting use cases that I'll talk about here, most of our customers are just going to find the closest POP, and we're going to organize this by latency. So you can see 2 milliseconds away, I'm going to hit this internet POP in New York. And so that's probably what I'm going to turn up here. But we have run into some use cases where customers are trying to connect or use Megaport Internet to connect maybe a VPN across the country. And so instead of using a internet circuit that traverses the US from West Coast to East Coast in this case, I might want to just turn up an internet circuit on the West Coast. So I can basically, from my data center in Totowa, have my port. I could go here to, let's say, Santa Clara or Los Angeles, and I could turn up a connection to that IP POP on the West Coast. And now my local or my public IP there is going to source from that internet POP on the West Coast. So a user or a VPN endpoint on the West Coast would have a local hop to that Megaport edge there, and then it would traverse Megaport's private backbone from west to east in this case. So it's a good way to get predictable latency on those kind of long distance VPN circuits. For the demo, I'm just going to go ahead and use New York in this case. And we'll just size this at 1 gig, and you can see it's going to populate my price. So I got my port price, I got my VXC price. In this case, I'm also going to go ahead and assign a VLAN to it. So I'll put this on VLAN 100. And this is always a good practice, I think, is to put a VLAN on it. I don't have to necessarily. If you're going to use this port just for internet, you could certainly leave it as untagged. But if, in case you ever need to use the port for something else, it's good practice to put a VLAN on there. And we'll go ahead and add that. Now I did set up the diverse ports, so I'm going to go ahead and just do the same thing real quick. And this time we'll go ahead and do the blue diversity zone, and we'll set up the connection there. Now, one thing you'll notice, and I do have an architecture drawing I'll show you in a minute, is that this does turn up to a completely different data center in New York. So you're getting geographic diversity to the Megaport internet edges here. As well as, you know, the red-blue diversity zone, which helps if there's maintenance or something like that. We can schedule those in different windows. And we'll size this at 1 gig as well. And I could put this on the same VLAN. The 2 ports are in different VLAN domains, so I'm going to go ahead and use VLAN 100 again. That guy. Okay, so here's all my connectivity all built, ready to go. I can go ahead and push this to order. And this does, you know, going to validate my order. Everything looks good. And so I'm going to go ahead and hit order now. This process takes a minute, you know, to turn up. So you're going to get the end of it. We're going to get LOAs in the data center at Totowa. We're also going to get the IP details for the internet circuit. While this is spinning up or allocating resources, I'm going to show you a couple of just general information about Megaport Internet. So yeah, so like you saw, you know, you could spin this up. Activation does take about a minute, so you can have that circuit ready to go. So it's pretty quick. If you already have an access circuit, let's say you already have a port with Megaport or MCR, Megaport Virtual Edge, you could obviously spin this up right away. You don't have to wait for building cross connect or something like that. You could just be a VLAN on an existing service. So it could be very quick to spin something like this up. Scalability, you know, in the demo, I ran it at 1 gig, but of course, just like everything with Megaport, we try to be maximally flexible. So you could set this up at a lower bandwidth, scale it up as you need more bandwidth, or scale it down. If it's not under contract, you could scale it down as well. And you probably saw in the demo flexible terms. So I set mine up as a 12-month term, but you could set it up as a month-to-month. You could set it up as a 3-year term. So you have that option. And then the diversity, which I do have a drawing, I'll kind of show you how we have that set up. But that's the red-blue diversity zones I went through. And then we do provide IP address, a public IP address on the service when it spins up. And I'll show you guys that in the portal here shortly. All right, so let me just talk about kind of the metro architecture. So, you know, as of right now, you know, February 28th, 2025, Megaport is not a tier 1 ISP. We do basically connect or peer with tier 1 ISPs in these metros. So the demo I did was in New York. So just imagine this is the New York metro here. We will have 2 tier 1 ISPs that we connect to in the metro, and we separate these in those red and blue diversity zones. And you'll see when, you know, I ran through the demo, I connected 1 circuit to red, 1 to blue. And this way I have those direct connections out of those internet pops direct to those ISPs. Now, one thing to note is our backbone, of course, is connected. So if ISP number 1 fails for whatever reason, so this connection over to Megaport, Megaport will fail over the traffic. So if you're connected to the red IP pop in the market and ISP1 fails, we do have connectivity that we will send the traffic over to ISP2 and vice versa. So we will provide that failover for you. If the router fails, the physical connection, something like that, obviously in that case, you would lose connectivity to that device. So that's why it's a good idea to make sure you have a backup, whether you're getting 2 circuits from Megaport or you have other plans for internet diversity. All right, so a couple of ways to set this up. This is just an example of, a single port. So you have a single handoff, whatever it is. You could set up two VLANs. So the scenario I set up, I might have a single port in the red diversity zone. I could certainly set up a VLAN that goes to the blue IP pop and a VLAN that goes to the red IP pop. Obviously, I don't have the diversity on the local cross connect in the port, but I do on the upstream. So now I have connectivity to both IP pops with Megaport, gives me that additional diversity. And one of the things we could do is we could also set up BGP peering. So if you want to do that, whether you have a registered AS number or you want to set up a private AS number and peer privately with Megaport, that's something you can do. So automate that failover between the two connections. All right, and then this is the exact architecture I set up in the portal. So this scenario, I have two Megaport ports. These could be in the same data center like I set up in Totowa, or it could be different data centers, maybe in the metro area. But in this case, I'm leveraging both IP pops in the market, and I'm also leveraging two ports. So this just keeps physical diversity and logical diversity in the Megaport. So just some real quick tech slide, and then I'll hop back in the portal and show you kind of the rest of the stuff here. So when you spin up the service right away, you're going to get IPv4 and IPv6 allocation. So you'll get a IP address for the gateway as well as on the interface itself. It is run dual stack, so you can run both IPv6 and IPv4 or one or the other, whatever you prefer. One thing to note is that any of the BGP functions right now, you're going to have, it is set up manually. So we spin up the circuit as like just a static route, right, to Megaport. And the BGP, which is optional to set up BGP, you could do that. Right now, you're going to use the chat feature in the portal. Just click that, let them know you want to set up BGP on your new internet circuits, and they'll ask you some information on how you want to set up the peering and get that set up for you. If you need additional IP addresses, however, there is additional cost for that if you're getting those from Megaport. So let us know. You can hit the chat bubble or contact your Megaport account team. Let us know how many IP addresses you need, and we'll get you a quote on that. The service comes with one IP address, but of course, a lot of our customers need, /27/28, something like that. We can get that to you. There's a small upcharge for those IP addresses. If you're bringing your own IP address, no problem. We can advertise those out to our peers. So just let us know if you need that, and we can set that up for you. Okay. So we'll go back in the portal here and just kind of look at this setup. So you can see here, I got LOAs for the data center that are ready to download. So I can hand those over to the data center, get the cross connects done. If I selected the Megaport to do the cross connect, in that case, it would ask for an LOA where you want it terminated, and Megaport would go ahead and provision the process with the data center to get those cross connects ordered. For the internet circuit, I want to kind of drill in here just to show you kind of what this looks like. So one thing I mentioned was the BGP is manual. Today, you can see I can't click in these fields. At some point in the future, we do want to automate that process so our customers can go in here and populate all the data to turn up that BGP peer. But what you'll need to do at this time is just click that chat bubble. They will set it up for you, and they'll actually put the attributes in here. So those AS numbers, stuff like that, so that you have that for reference. The IP address details are going to be here on the details page, and you'll see, like I mentioned, both IPv4 and IPv6 and set up in dual stack, and you'll see those IP allocations assigned to the circuit there. Okay, pretty straightforward. So there's my two internet circuits. And then last thing I'll show you, this one is ready to go pretty much, but I just want to point out the docs page for Megaport is one of the best reference websites you can have. So docs.megaport.com. And if you come in here, go to Megaport Internet, and you'll find all kinds of useful information on setting up Megaport Internet. Go screen by screen, pretty much everything I talked through in the presentation about failover, how that works. But also there's this important thing on the tree here, this routing guide. So if you have more complex routing requirements, This will go through the setup of enabling BGP, as well as some communities you can take advantage of, traffic engineering communities, those kinds of things. So that's it for today. Short and simple. Megaport Internet. Give it a try. Let us know. And good talking with you guys. Have a great weekend.